What's up, everyone? I hope you're doing fantastically well today. This is Raphael Garcia here for episode 102 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. I was going to hop on, this one dreadlock is getting on my nerves. I was going to hop on today's show because there's a pay per view this weekend. I was planning on talking Survivor Series and giving a preview of that show, but WWE hit me with a swerve instead. Good word to use there. Instead, because they dropped some names around 9:45 that were all released. So instead, I'll be talking about that. Maybe do a little bit of Survivor Series preview, talking some AEW as well. But as always, before I roll into the show, I want to say thank you for everybody for taking the time to listen to our content, whether you are watching it on YouTube, listening to it on Spotify, or one of the other podcast platforms. Thank you. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share our content. We appreciate you whenever you do that. And all your support really matters. You can always find this show on YouTube, first and foremost, MMA Ratings. You can catch us there. You can also catch us at MMA Ratings Net, both on Instagram and Twitter. MMA Ratings Net is our flagship as well, so you can check us out there and see all of our content everywhere in one place. This podcast, you get us up at Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, and Spotify as well. So let's roll right into these releases that came out today. Now, this is the second set of releases in probably about 2 weeks, if I am remembering correctly. We know that Keith Lee, Frankie Monet, and a bunch of other individuals were released a couple weeks ago, and they keep coming. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful was the first one to drop the news that John Morrison, Top Dollar, Ashanti Adonis, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Tegan Knox, Drake Maverick, Shane Thorne, and Jackson Riker was released. Jackson Riker, I'm not going to talk about him. Let's talk about all the others. Morrison, that name didn't surprise me as much because his wife, Frankie Monet, was released in the last group, and she was talking about it very openly on social media about how it impacted her and the perception about her age and all that stuff, and how what that really plays into with the WWE talking about they're only going to hire women who are 25 years old or younger. So seeing that happen to his wife, I'm not too surprised to see him in the next round of releases. By the way, all these were cited as being budget cuts, again, after another financial meeting where they talk about year-over-year growth and having massive revenue numbers, but they're still making budget cuts. So that's what they're cited as. I don't know if anyone in the behind the scenes area has been cut. I do need to reach out to some friends who are there, and hopefully they're okay. But right now, these are all the stars that I've heard. Actually, let me double check really quickly to make sure no one else is in that group. 1 second. No one else has been cut. Let's see. No others have been released at this time. But that's a pretty big group there. So John Morrison, understandable. I wonder if something about the way his wife was treated played into the series of releases. The Hit Row one hit me hard. They were on SmackDown for all of a month, not even. And I think they had maybe 2 matches. We saw B-Fab get released in the previous set of releases, which caught a lot of people off guard because a lot of people were interested in her. But seeing her get cut, now you have the entire rest of the group gone too. What is the story behind that? There has to be some more behind that, and I'm not sure if we'll ever figure out what that was. I'm sure that they'll probably talk about it at a later date, but to see all 3 of them just cut, something tells me that really kind of like that stands out to me heavy. They were expected to have a big impact on SmackDown, but yeah, that's no longer happening. Shane Thorne, you gotta kind of feel for him because he was put in that team. Well, he was a part of was it TM61. They had a good NXT run. Then he was put in that team with Brandon Vink, who's now Duke Hudson. So they split that group. Shane Thorne was then put in Retribution. They split that group, and he was shipped off to SmackDown, never used on television again. There was pictures of him debuting like a Crocodile Dundee type of character, because he is Australian, that never made it to television. But yeah, he's another one. A guy who can work, saddled with bad booking, bad creative, and then they're punished for it by being released. Tegan Knox, she had injury issues. Her and Shotzi Blackheart were a good team. They were split up during the draft, surprisingly. They beat the tag team champions 3 times, never got a title shot based off of that. But she was shipped off to Raw, never used. She's cut. Drake Maverick released again after that whole angle about him being brought back because of his contract situation from a couple. That was what, last year or earlier in the pandemic, I believe. That was last year, because he was a part of the very first round of cuts. But he was released. He was just on television Monday, going up against Reggie, and now he was released. So that is, very unfortunate. Riker, I'm not gonna talk about him. Well, that's the entire group. So these aren't going to stop. This comes on the heels of WWE 2K22, the trailer dropping today, and that news getting a lot of people excited about that game. But it just doesn't matter anymore. All these people are being released, and they're cited as budget cuts at a time where there's so much money that this promotion is being made. So much money that the promotion is making. So it really just like, it sucks to see this happen again, and there's really nothing that can be done about this, because I really think that it's going to continue. It's going to be a quarterly situation where we see these names come up. Something is in the works. They are planning. I don't know if they're planning a sale like everybody keeps talking about, but something's definitely in the works here, because they are consistently doing these cuts every quarter. Once the quarter ends, right before their quarterly meeting, there's another round of cuts coming out. So it almost seems like no one is safe. Like someone mentioned, Sean Ross Sapp talked about this as well too, where Bray Wyatt, who was making strong revenue numbers for the organization as a merchandise mover, was released, and it was cited as a budget cut. So if he is a budget cut, what is everybody else who isn't bringing in that type of money from merchandise? So I mean, who's untouchable right now? The four horsewomen, the New Day, Roman Reigns, the Usos. That's it. The Miz. That might really be it. So that is some unfortunate news. I wish them all the best, and I want to see what's next for them. Let's see what's next for them. That's really unfortunate to kind of hear that. Let's move on to talk about Survivor Series. And to be honest, I'm going to skip this pay-per-view. I don't intend on watching it live. It's Sunday, this coming Sunday. Nothing on this card interests me. As you know, we always talk about on this show, we're going to preview what interests us and kind of go on from there. Nothing on this show really interests me except for Biggie and Roman Reigns, but we know how that's going to end. We know Roman's going to get that win, and he's going to stay strong. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, that can be interesting as well too. That could main event. Actually, saw a lot of people talking about that too. But what do we have on this card? We have Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, and Austin Theory against Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, Xavier Woods, Happy Corbin, and TBA. Someone's going to be announced on Friday. Now, what's interesting about this is there was also a blank spot in the women's team that Tony Storm is filling. Tony Storm, they just announced on Twitter. They don't really care. But the spot for the men's team is open. I'm the one to say it's going to be Ricochet, but you notice that they're making a point out of keeping it a secret for creating a reason for people to watch on Friday. Stupid, but it is what it is. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. I expect SmackDown to win since Drew McIntyre's on that team. I expect that group to win, with Drew probably being the last one standing. On the women's side, we have Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Queen Zelina against Sasha Banks, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi Blackheart, Natalya, and Toni Storm. I expect SmackDown to win that match. Looking at this group, probably Bianca or Rhea will be the last one or two eliminated, but I expect SmackDown to win there. Nothing really surprised me about that group. Excuse me 1 second. Take that off. I'm gonna come back to those two matches. RK Bro versus the Usos. Don't give a shit about this match either. I expect RK Bro to win just because of the Randy Orton factor. And Usos can lose a match and not really get hurt by that. They lose a lot, honestly. I can expect RK Bro to win that match there. Damian Priest against Shinsuke Nakamura. That's a sleeper match. I think that'll be pretty good. I expect Damian Priest to win just because he's been built up so well. And Shinsuke Nakamura hasn't done anything with that Intercontinental Championship. Big E versus Roman Reigns. I may go back and watch this one. I don't plan on watching it live. Maybe I will. I'll be home. But I think it'll be a good match. It'll be a very good match between the two. I do not see Big E winning this. I would like to see it. I think it will be a huge surprise, and it'll be a way to kind of add a new wrinkle to, I think, Roman Reigns' character as well too. And it would help elevate Big E at the same time. But I don't I don't expect Big E to win that match. I think that's going to be a match that Reigns wins and basically continues his 2-year run as a champion, even though the titles aren't on the line. His 2-year run of dominance. Let me see. Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. This match, as I mentioned, could main event. I think that these two women have done a great job taking their behind the scenes anger and behind the scenes frustration and turning it into a palpable storyline. People are really feeding off of the idea that they have like legit heat between the two. They may have had a moment. I look at it as if they had a moment with their best friend. I mean, they're friends. Clearly, they had a moment where emotions got the best of them, as they do with anyone. When you're passionate about your craft, passionate about your position, and they almost came to blows. I've almost come to blows with friends all the time. It happens. Do I believe that they're hating each other and seething at each other as they're presenting it? Absolutely not. Do I think that these videos or in these interviews are 100% true about how they feel about each other right now? Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if they've already talked it out and hashed it out. But they know that this is a moment that they can make money off of by leveraging the fans and having the fans work themselves into a shoot, which I don't blame them. Make that money. Like Diamond and Players Club said, make the money, don't let the money make you. I think that they are going to have an excellent match. And that moment at SmackDown made this angle much more interesting because before that, I didn't want to see Becky and Charlotte again. We've seen them enough. I thought they had an opportunity to do some other things with Bianca Belair or some other women in that position, but they opted not to. Understandable. But that angle from SmackDown made this much more interesting between the two women. So that is a match that I may go back and watch as well too. Like I said, they can main event the show. Period. Full stop. Well, I think they do. Well, I think they go that route. I don't believe so. But Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair can main event Survivor Series this week on Sunday. I hope they do. I really hope they do. Let me go back to my agenda. The last topic I wanted to talk about today with WWE was about NXT going to TV 14. I wrote about this week on Daily DDT. There was news that came out on Tuesday, I believe, about the show moving towards TV 14, and this is my other co-host Teddy over here. I keep trying to get some attention. My thoughts on this was that is not the solution that WWE needs in any way, shape, or form. WWE's idea of TV 14 is basically as close to Attitude Era wrestling as they think that they can get right now. They look at AEW and they see a little bit of a more edgier, and I put that in air quotes, edgier product. Excuse me, my ears itching to have water on my ear. They see a little bit more of an edgier product, and their idea of doing that is presenting women the way that they've been doing on NXT. I mean, if you look at Mandy Rose, whenever Mandy Rose is on camera, they start with her lower half and shoot up. Like, what the fuck? Like, that is blatant as shit. Cora Jade, most of her story is wrapped around the fact that her boyfriend is Trey Baxter. You have Indy Hartwell talking about taking 9 inches while Dexter Lumis pulls out a pack of condoms. You have Zion Quinn and what's her name? Electra Lopez locked in a love triangle now with Legado del Fantasma. You have I think that those are all the love stories right now on NXT, but you see how the women are being booked. You see that they have the edict to sign women that are 25 years old or younger. This is stupid. Going to TV 14, they are looking for a way to continue to go back to their wet dream of how they present women, and maybe say a curse word every now and then, drop the word balls every now and then. Just, it's not going to be good. The level of the television rating isn't a barrier to them creating good content. They haven't created good content for years, period. And they almost seem like they don't know how to make good content anymore. I wrote about this last night, that they have flashes of what people want to see in professional wrestling, where you see some great matches. I mean, on every week of Monday Night Raw, there are some good matches, very good matches. I mean, this past weekend, the Alpha Academy versus the Street Profits was a good match. The weekend before that, Chad Gable versus Big E was a good match. There's another one as well too. I can't remember that I thought about, but there's a number of good matches that they have on the show, at least one per week. But to have to sit through 3 hours of content for 15 minutes of good show, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. And the same thing's happening over at SmackDown. NXT is just not good on a consistent basis anymore. Bumping the rating up to TV 14 is not going to be the answer. It's just another opportunity for some 3 perverted old men in the back who run the show to present the type of product that they think people want to see, and the television ratings are telling them this is not what people want to see. They did the lowest rating that they've, I think, ever done with NXT yesterday on Tuesday, excuse me. But none of this shit is going to change. I don't think that they're going to move any different direction until they get to some danger of losing some of these big television product contracts. And I don't know what needs to happen for that to occur. But that's enough about WWE content. let's talk about the positive stuff in wrestling. And right now, the positive stuff is mostly happening in AEW. AEW Dynamite was this week, celebration of Adam Hangman Page, and the theme of Dynamite this week was that the simple shit works. Period. If you look at the way Bryan Danielson turned the crowd against him, if you look at the way Eddie Kingston and Daniel Garcia got into it backstage, if you look at the way CM Punk interacted with MJF, the simplest of shit, you don't need overbooked bullshit to draw people in. Simple works. These two men or women are determined to be the best in the business, and they have to fight to get there, and they probably don't really like each other. That's all we need. Simple shit works. I don't need some 30-minute promo or a segment using big ass words that people don't use, like brand supremacy. No one talks like that to get a situation over to make me want to watch. No, give me the simple stuff, like the KISS strategy. Keep it simple, stupid. So much on this show that I really liked. I liked the opening segment with Bryan and Adam Page. Ooh, I'm really struggling on whether or not Adam Page should beat Bryan Danielson. I've pitched a piece to my team that Page should be the first one to beat him in AEW, but I'm probably going to pitch the counterpoint to that too as well. Because Bryan Danielson right now is hot, super hot. And I don't like, does Page stay as hot as he does after this victory with future feuds? Right now, he's white hot. I get it. The fans love him. The fans want to see him. Give them more Adam Page and give them a strongly booked Adam Page. But how long does it remain like that? How long does it stay like that? That is my question. Because if you have the opportunity to put the title on Bryan Danielson and have excellent matches with an excellent professional wrestler who can get the crowd behind him and against him in a moment's notice, do you take advantage of that right now while he's healthy? You know he's not going to be here for a long time. He is wrestling like he's here for a good time, not for a long time. You do not know when his injuries will pop back up or any of those situations will come back up. So do you put the belt on him right now and let him make someone else? Or do you attempt to make Adam Page even bigger off of Bryan Danielson? That is a strong, strong question to ask. And I don't know the answer to that. I've gone back and forth. After watching Page win at Full Gear, I was like, well, he's clearly going to beat Bryan Danielson. But then looking at the segment on Wednesday, it's like, they can put that belt on Bryan Danielson and go from there. But let's see what happens. There's so many different angles that they can take with that. Then what else did they have on the show? Let me go back to my agenda. I don't want to talk about everything on the show. CM Punk in his heel turn. So we know it's coming. We don't know when, but we know CM Punk is going to have a realization where he goes back to the asshole being an asshole CM Punk. We got a glimpse of that when he was beating up Eddie Kingston at Full Gear. How does it happen? I think after this feud with MJF, it happens. That's another good question there. Who wins out of that? Does MJF beat CM Punk or the other way around? At some point, you got to put MJF in the title picture. Again, he's already been there once. But at some point, you have to. Does he get there by beating CM Punk or the other way around? That's a question that will need to be asked. But CM Punk's heel turn is coming, and it's going to be a big moment for AEW. Someone on my team wrote about that as well too, which will go up tomorrow. I think someone's going to get made. Someone will be made off of him as well too. As Alex Pawlowski over there at Fightful was talking about, Eddie Kingston should be the man to beat the heel version of CM Punk. I like that. I wrote about Kingston being a big superstar, and people say that he can be, he can maybe be a champion, more like Mankind was when he won that one title. But I think that Kingston can be more like Stone Cold for them. Maybe not as big and as crossover famous as Stone Cold. That character is there. Like every man is there. His article in the Players Tribune was some good reading. Very eye opening about him. I was a little familiar with Kingston from NWA before he came to AEW, but he's got my vote. I am definitely a fan of his now. So there's definitely that. What else that I put in the agenda for this week? The women's title tournament. The TBS women's title tournament is a big blessing to women's wrestling fans, and that locker room. And I say that because everybody involved is looking so much stronger. Right now, Jamie Hayter, Thunder Rosa, Red Velvet, Jade Cargill, Nyla Rose, and Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho. Those are the last women left. And that the title tournament has also given us Serena Deeb versus Hikaru Shida. That third match, that's a pay-per-view. That's a main event, an AEW Dynamite main event, or a pay-per-view match. On pay-per-view. I don't hear any buying shit. That is an on pay-per-view match. All of that is because of this TBS title tournament. Now, my concern, though, is that the woman who comes out as the champion is going to be so strongly booked that I think there's going to be demand to immediately have her face Britt Baker. You can't do that. I do not believe that they intend on taking that title off of Britt Baker anytime soon. And they are doing a good job of keeping Jade Cargill away from Britt right now. I don't want to see Britt go over Jade. I don't want to see Britt go over Thunder Rosa. And I don't want to see her go over Big Swole. But they do not intend on taking that belt off of her in any way, shape, or form. I think she loses momentum. Period. Even when I wasn't interested in her, I could still see that people were like, yo, Britt Baker's a shit. And I get that. I understood why she was a big fan, a big star, and like people were really like rallying around her. I feel like I don't hear that as much anymore. She's still a great character, still a great promo, and she's doing her shit, but people don't seem as excited for her as they once did. So I'm wondering if the steam around her is slowing a little bit. Are they going to belt up Thunder Rosa? I don't know. I think they should. I just don't see them taking that belt off of Britt Baker anytime soon. So, but this TBS title tournament, that entire roster looks so much stronger now because of it, and I'm interested in seeing what they do with them in the future, because that's really going to elevate that group. Trish Adora and Willow Nightingale did dark matches last night for, I think, Elevation. Fantastic. Signed them immediately. Signed Rooksy as well too. Bring those women in, and let's continue to build that division. Hell, sign Tegan Knox. Sign Frankie Monet. Like, those are women. I think Frankie Monet's don't go back to Impact, but those are some very, very strong women that can perform at the highest levels and give them an additional, weight backstage. So there's a lot to kind of look forward to with women's division on AEW. They gotta go back to doing more women's matches on Dynamite and on well, they can't do more on Rampage. It's only an hour, but they gotta do more women's matches on Dynamite for sure. Give them more time. But that is the end of my agenda for this week. And again, my heart goes out to all the people that were released tonight. It was so unfortunate, and it's just WWE doing WWE shit, and it's so sad to kind of see that. So my heart goes out to them. And again, thank you all for everyone taking the time to listen to the show. My name is Raphael Garcia. You can catch me at @Garcia_sports. Check us out, MMA ratings across all platforms. Hit us up there. And I thank you, everyone. Please have a safe weekend. My cats are starting to get destructive. So if you hear something, I apologize for that. But have a safe weekend. Have a happy holiday. And everybody is, give your loved ones some love next week. Stay frosty, everyone.